ready for this. You know what time it is? It's about that time of the week to showcase what you got, the talent that we have. It's a whole lot. You can sing, you can dance, you can rap, you can write. It doesn't matter. You know what time it is? Put your hands in the sky and wave them side to side if you feel alive. It's Talented Thursday with Kimberly Eichelle. Let's go. I don't think they're ready for this. You know what time it is? It's about that time of the week to showcase what you got, the talent that we have. It's a whole lot. You can sing, you can dance, you can rap, you can write. It doesn't matter. You know what time it is? Put your hands in the sky and wave them side to side if you feel alive. It's Talented Thursday with Kimberly Eichelle. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Hey, hey, everybody. You know what time it is. It's a time for another Talented Thursday. And I am your girl, Kimberly Eichelle. Welcome in. Come on in and bring a friend. I don't know where y'all at. We're a little late tonight, but it's all right. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but it's all good and it's all God. So come on in. Come on in. I'm going to give y'all a little time to get into the room tonight. I am so excited and honored to have our special guest on tonight. I know that we are going to have a good time, and I am so looking forward to it. So let me talk just a little bit as you all are coming in. Remember to rep your city. Tell me where you're from. Put it in the comments, share, like, all those things. Thank you for watching, first of all. Those of you who are watching on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube, I appreciate you. And for those who will be listening on Vegas Praise, thank you for listening as well. So let me talk about something. Sometimes, y'all, I'm going to talk about myself. And you know, if it applies to you, say amen out there, okay? So sometimes we pray and we ask God to open doors. And we ask him for favor. And we ask him for all of these things. And then all of a sudden, we become afraid. And I want to say we cannot be afraid of where God is getting ready to take us. So I asked God to open doors for me this year. I said, this is the great year for me. And I know that God is getting ready to do great things. So I began to reach out to different people. Of course, I have brought you all types of talent in the past, but I want each year to get better and better. And so with that being said, I reached out to this young man and he said yes. And when he said yes, I began to question it. Now, listen, I had already asked God to do the work. But when Gabriel said yes, I'm like, is this really him, God? Why do we do that? When we ask God for something, don't we believe that he is going to show up and show out? He said he would do exceeding abundantly well above what we ask or even think. So I am so grateful on tonight, because God is up to some big things. Now, with that being said, I want to tell you about my guest for tonight. This man is special. Tonight's guest is a multifaceted artist. He's a mentor, father, husband, and humanitarian who has a diverse resume that spans several areas, from teaching youth in juvenile halls to being 1/3 of the group Writers and Artists. He's been a part of music, television, and film, and also has toured with none other than Mariah Carey. He's the 2024 HD Sports Humanitarian Award winner and received the 2024 Living Mission Award for inspiration. He's a man of faith who studied at Calvary Chapel Bible College. And you truly missed it, y'all, if you didn't see him take home the prize on season 2 of Claim to Fame. He has a personality that truly shines, and I'm so glad to have him here on Talented Thursdays tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching Talented Thursdays. Up next, none other than Mr. Gabriel Cannon. You're watching Talented Thursdays.
I don't think they're ready for this. You know what time it is? It's about that time of the week to showcase what you got, the talent that we have. It's a whole lot. You can sing, you can dance, you can rap, you can write. It doesn't matter. You know what time it is? Put your hands in the sky and wave them side to side. Every foot alive. Talented Thursday with Kimberly Eichelle. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Y'all know how it goes. Drum roll out there. Give it up for Mr. Gabriel Cannon.
What's going on, everybody, baby? I'm here. We in the building. I seen the youngsters doing something like this. I don't know, but hey, whatever we got to do, we do. We here, baby. Talented Thursday, Miss Kimberly E. I appreciate you guys.
Yes,
I love the show, all that you're doing, and I'm honored to be out here, baby.
yes, indeed. And we are honored to have you on tonight. You know,
Thank
it's an
you.
honor and a privilege. I am just amazed by your spirit. You know, I watched, okay, first of all, okay, let me just go back. I want you to rep your city, first of all. So, you know, I heard you say you were from North Carolina.
Hey,
But
Charlotte, baby, Charlotte, North
so rep your
Carolina,
city.
country boy, to the fullest. Hey, baby, they used to tell us to go outside. We used to climb trees and throw rocks at people. We wasn't all the technology and stuff. So, man, we
Yeah,
got some powerful stuff. We building bridges. Y'all youngsters better look out because we got some stuff. We put medicine in the candy, man, and
come
we
on,
trying
come
to
on.
heal this next generation, baby. We outside.
That's
Oh,
right.
and that
That's right.
introduction you gave me, man, I had to like, you know what I'm saying, get myself together. Sometimes somebody put all of those things together like that is like, thank you. So you talk about me?
Yeah. I'm talking about you. I am
Uh-oh.
talking about you tonight. You know, you are doing some fabulous work and fabulous things, you know, and
Thank you.
those of us who have had the pleasure of seeing you in action, we're blessed. You know, you have
Oh,
a
man.
presence about you where I know it's nobody but God. So we're going to dive in. You ready to dive in?
I'm ready to go in the deep waters, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. I got my mom watching tonight. She said God is not giving us a spirit of fear, faith over fear. She's
Woo.
talking about, you know, that intro as well that I was talking about the story where Gabriel, I didn't know if you was going to be here. You know what I'm saying? I asked God, you said yes.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
still was like, God, is this you? You know what I'm saying? We cannot fear. When God begins to move, he moves mountains out of the way for us, you know. So faith over fear indeed. And I have Jay Spate. He's a drummer here in Las Vegas. He said,
Hey,
yo. So, yo, Jay, thank you so much for
Jay,
tapping.
I'm working on a project. I need some beats, baby. Jay, send us
Oh,
something, baby. What's happening?
there we go. There we go. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. So, listen, I definitely want to say congratulations on winning season 2 of
Oh,
Claim to
thank you.
Fame.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
played the game so
Thank you.
strategically. You called. You hear me? You had the folks thinking that you were related to a football player the
Man, they
whole
seen the locks, they seen the tall. I told them about the shoulders. Like,
yes.
man,
And then you did the Heisman pose in the beginning, you know, so
I
it
was
threw them
playing
all out.
subliminal messages. Like, you
That
know what I
was good.
mean?
You came in with a game plan, so I
Man.
love that. You know,
Let me
you
shout out. Let me just shout out moms. Your mom, real quick. I think you should shout her
yes,
out in the chat. Like faith over fear. I love that. Just I feel it's about to go into the topic of the show, and I just want to jump in and like one of the things going into the show, claim to fame that I've seen everybody in there literally has something. You know, somebody in there
yeah,
had a chain on with little pieces of money and gold flakes in there, and you
right,
know, it was for
right.
good luck. Somebody literally brought a whole altar in there, and
Oh
you know,
my
for those who watched the show, you know, and surprisingly, they showed it on ABC. I had my Bible, you know,
yes, you
that
did.
what I had my faith in, you know, my
Yes.
word, my Jesus, baby.
Come on, come
And
on.
but like you like moms was saying in the chat, like the faith over fear, like, you know, I did have a fear going in, like, you know, will they show my faith? Would I be saying Jesus too much? Or you know
Right.
what I mean? Because on these, you know, secular, I won't say secular, but on these other
Yeah.
platforms that's not built for us to proclaim the gospel, or traditionally, we would think that, and we would see that maybe they would cut this out or edit this out. I just want to shout out ABC because they showed scenes with me sitting in there reading my Bible where people
Yes,
was plotting
indeed.
against me, and they used that as almost my character arc, which is true to who I am. But
Yes.
I was fearful that they was gonna cut that out, and you know what I mean, and make me and paint a different picture. But faith over fear. They literally, even Jr. Lil Nas X brother, he was like at the end when I won was like, yo, keep your faith, bro. Like that's what got you here. And they put that
Yes.
all in subtitles. And I'm being fearful that they would edit stuff out about our king, and they saw him and help expose him in my gameplay almost. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? And
Yep.
just to shout out to that faith over fear, like for sure, like
Absolutely.
and under all circumstances, faith over fear for sure.
That's so good. That's so good. Something that stood out to me about you was when, what was his name? It was Donnie Osmond's son, Chris.
My boy Chris, yeah.
Your boy Chris, when he kind of was like, I got your back. And then, he gave your clue away. And you said,
Right,
you know what? I'm not worried about that. You said, because I
man.
know who got me. And I
Right.
said, oh, it's about to get real in here.
I was scared. I was like, man, I just said that on national TV in a competition, talking about some God fight for me. I was like, you heard that right, God? You're gonna have to do
Uh-huh,
something.
uh-huh.
They watching.
Yes, indeed. And he did just that. You
Man,
took home the prize. As you
man,
stood there, like I said, you played it so cool to the very last minute. I love to see, you and Monet up there working together,
man,
and she was a cool player too. So you both
man,
were my favorites, but your message spoke so loudly. Like you said, were they going to edit some of those things out? But God said no. He gave the glory in this.
man,
And
man.
so I know that
ABC and Jesus.
okay, I know that's right. Yes, indeed. So that's what shows me that that's your true character, because that would be a place where someone would try to hide Jesus if Jesus wasn't in them.
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
it's great. It's great to hear your story. What made you decide to become a contestant on the show?
Man, I'm living life, my story's kind of crazy. I've been in the shadows of Hollywood for years.
Mhm.
Been signed to Def Jam, and just was in a season of literally waiting. Like, just in a waiting season, but I'm in the schools every day, working with these
Right,
kids, and we as believers, we get in the seasons of God, okay, I'm good here, but is this all you got for me? Like,
right.
you
What
know
else,
what I
Lord?
mean? Like, God, like, hey, this is more than I could ask for. Like, we
Yes,
grateful, but you show me more, God. Like, you know what I mean? And was really in one of those seasons, like, and for me, literally, God was he almost just flexed on me, like, man, I could change. I could have a phone call. I could, you know what I mean? And I could change
right.
your season like you turn on the lights. Like, you know what I
Ooh,
mean? And it was
yes.
almost like him flexing on me, honestly. So I got a message in my inbox, just trying to be faithful for what I seen, to my
Right.
church and to these students, and for what God called me to in this community. I'm in San Bernardino. Is it, the murder rate is crazy out here. Like,
Okay.
it's one of the
Right.
worst. It's worse than Compton. Like,
Wow.
out here in California, in the Inland Empire. But just being faithful to it, but
Mhm.
also being honest. And I got a message in my inbox. I thought it was spam. It talking about this show. You get a bunch of people playing games, sometimes being related to Nick Cannon,
Right.
um, but always being open. Always, you know what I mean. God has
Yes.
opened so many doors. I toured with Mariah Carey. You know what I'm saying. So
Yes.
my life has already done the unexpected. God has
Exactly.
already showed up.
Exactly. Yes.
And so I just followed it. I hit them back, and they told me about the show. They told me to go watch season one. And I was on season two, so it was really the
Yes.
first season they had. Go watch season one. When I watched season one, I fell in love with the show. I literally like, yo, whoever created the show, God gave them that idea with me in mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Come
he
on. I
thought
know that's
Gabriel,
right.
like
Okay.
literally, like it was literally for me, custom made for me to go on there. And it's like, because I got this call, God, in my time, like, there's no way you're gonna send me to lose, you know.
Right.
And
Exactly.
just because it was the timing, and like I said, I've already was just in communication and waiting for God to show. And I just I went on the audition and just gave him this energy, baby. I was like, and that's why I get frustrated. All this energy sometimes, and gotta have you in the waiting area, like or
I
gotta
get
be
it.
in the waiting room waiting on you, and you somewhere, like, what I mean. So
Yes.
you know, um, and so yeah, it's just like he flipped that switch, and I got that call. I felt this show was perfect for me. I did the auditions. It was over Zoom, kind of right after the COVID season.
Okay. Right.
So auditioned through like the platform like this, and
Yes.
got the call, but they waited to the last minute, like probably a few days before we left to go off filming, and they told us that
Wow.
we made the show. So yeah, it was crazy.
Okay. Yes, indeed. That is amazing. And you are ministering to me tonight. So, you know how you said God opened a platform just for you? That's the kind of God that we serve.
Right,
He is the one that makes ways out of no way. So, if He
right,
had to put that into the brain of somebody at ABC to say, this is for Gabriel, this is where I want to expand him and push him and develop him even more,
right,
He did it
right,
just for you. And
right,
for tonight, you're speaking into my life because I have been in a place, you grind for so many years and you like, Lord, I know this is what you called me to do.
right,
And if this is what you called me to do, I see this popping up, that popping up, but we have to keep our eyes stayed on Him.
right,
The Bible
right.
says that I look to the hills from whence cometh my help, and my help comes from the Lord. And
Amen.
so
Right,
I am so grateful that I have a brother here tonight who can encourage me. You're speaking life into me. So
right,
I appreciate that for sure. I appreciate it for sure. And he said,
thank
Justin
you.
is watching. That's right. The sword is necessary. Yes, indeed. Always,
Amen.
always.
Amen.
So again, you played the game flawlessly all the way to the end. They were thinking your
Flawlessly.
family, yes. I'm like, they were thinking your family was the Dallas Cowboys because they kept seeing the star. And I
Right,
was so confused. Like once they saw the baby, I was like, now wait a minute, that's 10 whole kids. So how
right,
could they not start putting things together, to
right.
point towards Nick? But he hid you. He hid you. That's what that was.
The fact that you seen that through
Yes.
a television screen, like that's literally what, like, I'm in there, like, you hid me, like, when
Yes, he did.
everybody knows and everybody, and they
And
have
it was
and
everywhere.
the
That story
information
about
is
Nick was
all around
everywhere.
you. God will hide you. It's like, man,
Yes.
there's many times in the Bible to where, they was coming to kill Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? And
Come on.
he just slipped through, and it was literally that. Like,
Ooh,
I'll hide you when you surrounded by enemies, when you're
come
their
on.
main target. Like, I'll confuse the enemy. And it's like,
Ooh.
as I was reading those scriptures, in the Psalms, it's like he was bringing those things to life. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yes.
the journal we kept, it's like, it was so much like just feeling like David when he was in that cave. And,
Come
because this is
on.
a game, but knowing like the world is going to see this, knowing like
Right.
every move matters. Like, it's still a game, but there's
Yes.
$100,000 on the line.
Come
Like, you know
on.
what I
A
mean?
whole
So,
100,000.
yeah,
Okay.
like, and so everything, it was serious. It was play, but it was so serious. It was like, and then it just imitated for me. One of the beautiful thing about the show Claim to Fame is it almost imitates life for me. Like, that path
Mm,
going up. Like, if you
right.
burn your bridges in life, like that same kid you bullied in high school is gonna be
Come
the
on.
bank owner that's good. You gonna need this loan from, 20 years from, the time
Yeah.
you bullied them.
That's
So,
right.
even in that game, it's like the people you voted off, the relationships you made, how you treated people when they all came back
Ooh,
in
when
that
you
house
came
and
back
had,
full circle,
yeah, they had information that I needed, or, what I mean, I needed to pick your brain, or it's like, being that person where it's like, all right, like I can't just,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So I mean, that show was, I wish I could relive it. Yeah, I'm glad to be an alumni of it now. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Jesus,
Not
for the
only an
W.
alumni, the winner of your
So,
season,
go ahead now.
the winner, okay? Not only a part of the cast, but the one who took home the bag that year. So,
Glory, Lord. Glory,
such
Lord.
a blessing, such a blessing. So, of course, it was revealed that you are the younger brother of Nick Cannon, right?
Amen.
So, I think
Amen.
that's amazing in itself. I want to know, what was it like growing up in the Cannon household? What was it like? Because you have other brothers. So,
Right,
all these boys, all this testosterone going through the
right,
house. Tell me what it
right.
was like growing up.
I got a television show I'm writing. It's called My Four Sons. It's told from my dad's
Oh,
point of view. It's Nick came from California to live with all of us in Hollywood. He called it his boys in the hood story. So
yes.
now he come from being a single child in California, move all the way to the country. This Cali kid now from being the only child, now you got three little brothers under you. You the oldest child, and you know what I
Wow.
mean? This whole culture shift, and it's a 90s, it's a timepiece. Like, the dress, the cross colors, the way they
Yes.
dress, it was so
Yes.
different. But we was church boys. My dad had us in church almost every day of the week. We
Uh-huh.
went to a church called Victory Christian Center in North Carolina. Pastor Robin Gould, is where he got the training ground. My dad ran the street team for the church. So we
Wow.
grew up, he's my dad going to minister to people. He got us in the back of his station wagon. He always kept a big old camera with him. Remember, those cameras was huge back then.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes, they were.
he, yeah, he's praying over these what we thought as kids was zombies, but they was just crackheads, like what I mean, neighborhood crackheads, like
Yeah.
but he's doing
You
deliverance
like my daddy
ministries.
out here healing monsters. He's healing monsters.
Right, right. And we ain't know why. He like, Daddy, don't touch him. Like, we kids. We ain't. But
Yes,
to look back
indeed.
and to understand what him and his boys was doing, like a group of black men in the inner city in the 90s with this camera telling people about Jesus. Like, that was his calling. My dad always had a nonprofit. The
Right.
neighborhood boys was always at our house. Whether it was cutting the grass or he had a drug-free youth organization, taking us door to door selling candy. So that's really a way that we kind of got over our fear of people, and our fear of rejection.
Right.
Not knowing God was going to bring us to Hollywood and you was going to need to get over your fear of people and of your fear of rejection.
Come on.
But just those fundamental things my dad laid down, taking us selling candy, and understanding the numbers game. As many doors you knock on, the more possibilities you'll get a sale. Like those
Right.
simple principles in life, from North Carolina that we use every day in this industry now. So it was the Jacksons. We would take, weights, put a broomstick in it, and
Uh-huh.
that's our microphone. And
Come on.
I would never be chosen to be Michael. I was always Tito
Oh,
or Jermaine or something, baby.
right,
But
right.
it was that.
But
It
you
was.
was
It
in
was.
there. You were
I was.
in
I was.
there.
I was. I was one of the brothers, baby.
Come on.
uh,
That's
but it
right.
was that. It was music. It was music in my house. My dad gave us our heroes: Martin Luther King, Jesus, and Bruce Lee. So if we wasn't at some type of martial arts class, we was singing and pretending we, on television. And because my dad was a former gang member from San Diego,
Okay.
California. So he
Right.
kind of, almost lost his life a few times and really just gave his life to God. And he'll tell you he made a pact like, God, if you give me sons, I'll give them to you. And God gave him five boys, and he literally did that. Our upbringing was, some of my brothers tell you like military but he was strict he didn't let us watch TV, at
Okay.
all. But
Right.
unless Michael Jackson was on or something, but you know,
Okay.
um, but he gave us his camera. He gave Nick his cameras. Like, y'all can't watch TV, but make your own TV. So that just opened, a whole world for us as Nick became the director, and we began to, shoot these films and also do the soundtrack of it because we couldn't watch TV. So,
Right.
but really built the foundations of who we are today, honestly. So yeah, that's
Wow.
in a nutshell. I can be long winded, but yeah, that's really was our childhood. Like, we the next Jacksons, baby, acting, rapping, singing, and just the 90s version.
Doing it all. Doing it
Oh yeah.
all.
We
Yes,
used to have church
indeed.
concerts. I remember doing this church concerts. We remember those LA Gear lights. The shoes would light up. Nick
Yeah.
Nick wrote this song. He's the light of my life. He's the light of my life. And we had a music group called 3YB, Three Young Brothers, and that Nick was our our manager. He's 14 years old. But
Wow.
yeah, it was a Christian group, Three Young
Yes,
Brothers, and
indeed.
yeah, we had them dreams, because my dad gave us that camera from, almost from the cradle.
Absolutely. It's so funny because a lot of times people, when they think about Christians, they think that we're just dull and, just so we have
Right.
a lot of fun. So, like you said, you had what, 3YB, Three Young Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was rapping, back in the 90s and such as
Okay.
well. And we had DYD, Dedicated Young Disciples. Okay.
See,
So it's
see,
like,
see.
you feel me?
Right.
So
That's
there was
dope.
always, something to do, always a good time in the house of the Lord. And that's what people kind of miss. That my mom would always tell me, when God saves you, he doesn't really take your personality away from you. He
Right.
enhances the great things about you.
Right.
Now that sinful nature is going to change, but the good parts of you, whether you funny, whether you're creative, whether you're brainy, whatever he has called you to do in the earth,
Right.
each one of us are necessary. He is not going to take the gift. The
Right.
gifts that he has planted on the inside of us are necessary for where we are going and where, he's
Absolutely.
leading us to. So, of course, y'all didn't know way back then that you was on your way to Hollywood, but you
At
were.
all. At all. At
But you
all.
were.
Right. That's crazy you said
Yes.
it, because I tell my students that it's like, and because they tell me these wild stories. I mean, the condition of our youth is so direly on the edge of the abyss
Yeah.
of being completely lost to the point of no return is crazy. And then to be in a juvenile hall on the front line of it, these kids have committed murders and,
Mm,
strong arm robberies, got, juvenile life, which is to 25. Luckily having another chance, but they tell me these stories and these things they get to at 12, 11, and 13. And, they,
right.
they plan these licks, which
Yeah.
is these planned out, ways that they eat and get money and help their
Right.
parents, pay the rent, the light bills, and it's like, yo, do you understand? I don't want to glorify, but do you understand the brilliance it takes to plan some of these things y'all telling me? Like with
Exactly.
those
If they would
same
just shift
tools.
it around.
Right, with those same tools, with that same instinct, with the same dedication, passion. All you got to do is turn it, in this other direction. Almost as kind of what I was seeing being signed to Def Jam. It's like, I thought, God, okay, God, now I want to serve you. That, I got to give up all of these things. Okay, I got to stop
Right.
rapping. And it's like, nah, you was just using your tools to build the wrong kingdom. Use those same
Come on,
tools and
Gabriel.
build this kingdom. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like, yo, those are the tools, just build on the right foundation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, you already hidden into a lot of my questions and stuff. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. Actually, I
Okay.
want to jump over to the comments because we have some people that are watching, and I want you to be able to hear some of the comments that they were saying. So I have Amy Nowak watching. I hope I pronounced that right. She said,
Hey,
claims to
Minnie.
fame winner, Gabriel Cannon. She's showing the trophy and the hand. She's smiling
Hey,
out there.
Amy. Oh yeah, Amy
Okay,
Ryder.
Estella is tapping in. She says, sorry, just signing in. Hey, y'all. Hey,
What's
Estella. Thank you
happening?
for watching tonight. Amy said, amazing. He ran the street team for the church. Talking about your dad.
Uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have Ashley Kellogg. She's actually an artist, singer here in Las Vegas who's tapping in. So she said, hey, y'all. Hey, hey.
hey,
She
Ashley.
she said, that's what we need more of, ministry in the streets. Get outside of the four walls.
Hey, now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, and Nancy Nowak is watching as well. She said we were so excited when you won.
Hey,
Congratulations.
that's the No Walk family, man. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. They've been riders. Appreciate y'all watching this show. A lot of people, I mean, I be out in public sometimes and I be confused because people just be looking at me now. And it's like, I
Uh-huh.
don't know if you know me from the show or if you about to rob me. Like, what
Right.
you
What
about
is
to
it?
do? But people still just
Exactly.
don't come up to you. Like if I'm in a crowded place in the airport, somebody come up to me. But like now, it's just kind of weird because it's like everyone. It's like I always just feel somebody looking at me. Like,
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes, and it's so funny because when you've been on a show like that, we've connected to you as an audience. You know what I'm saying?
wow,
So if I saw you out, you may not feel like talking that day, but I'm gonna be like, Gabe, look, I didn't already called you Gabe. I ain't even give you your full name, Gabe. You know, I'm like, what's up? Because I feel like I know you, and I
right,
have a
right.
funny story about that. I was working a show at one day, and there was a gospel artist who was there, and she has a friend who travels with her all the time to kind of help her and that type of thing. And so
Mhm.
I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh, so he's not gonna speak today? I kind of felt some kind of way because he didn't speak, you know.
Right,
I'm
right,
like,
right.
hi, and he kind of gave me a dry hi, and I'm like, he knows that he knows me. And when I thought about it, I'm like, Kim, no, because you saw him on TV, you thought you know. Because we meet so many people. You know,
Right,
I
right,
felt like
right.
I knew him. This man didn't know me from nobody else.
That's
Okay.
hilarious.
So,
That
yes,
is
I am
hilarious.
sure you getting love out there.
I would hope people who see me, hey, come up and hug me, baby. What's happening? Like,
Okay.
I'm gonna return the energy. Hey,
Yes.
yes,
I
Lord.
totally believe it. I totally believe it. Nancy said, we love you too.
Go
And
ahead
Amy
now.
said, that's my mom. We love, love, love Gabriel and Nick, of course. We are
We
family.
fam. I tell them that's family, baby.
Family. I love it. I love it. So, your bio stated that you moved to Hollywood from North Carolina after Nick's success in the hit movie Drumline, of course, right?
Right, right.
So, I want to know how you were able to hold on to your faith while integrating yourself into the entertainment industry. That's kind of hard to do in that world. So, what was
Man,
that journey like?
that journey was wild. I call it my
Mm,
Ashy the classy story. I mean, just imagine we was known for sports. We was the cannons, for sports.
uh-huh.
But when Nickelodeon came out, we would have to, bring baby pictures. Look, that is my brother. Like, you know what I mean? We're in
Right.
North Carolina. Hollywood is so far away. So
So
for
far.
somebody there to get famous and be on TV is just, yeah, right. You're lying. And then because it's so far away, everybody, somebody cousin, yeah, you Denzel
Right.
Washington
Right.
cousin, like, you know. But then when Drumline hit, it's like we moved to California and we were in demand. We were desirable. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Before you had to be funny and I thought you had to squint. Like, I tell my students to be honest, because in our culture, the African American culture, and then I've
Mhm.
also found out just talking to these students, it's also heavy in the Hispanic culture that we have this colorism. I was called Black A my whole life. Like, that boy looked
Uh-huh.
like a lit
Uh-huh.
match. Like,
Lord.
and so in our culture, we felt, the darker, the uglier, the less desirable, the lighter, the more desirable. And,
Right.
find out also in the Hispanic
False.
culture, it's something similar.
Mhm.
So I fell under that. I was a little black boy. I thought you had to squint to
Right.
see that I was handsome. Like,
You
you
so
know,
crazy.
and so I
We
love
see
when
it.
the
We see it, Gabriel.
man, glory, hallelujah, Jesus.
Amen.
So when the Ted Diggs and the Wesley Snipes made chocolate look good,
He
those
said, I'm
things,
in there.
those are the things that confirmed us, as young men. Other
Yes.
than that, like even as growing up as young men, trying to find identity of what a man is. We got the
Uh-huh.
Tupac characters. You pick up a smoking habit because that's what you think a man is supposed to do,
Mm.
and then you kind of realize you got this mask on the whole time. You
Mm.
know, and so realizing I had a mask on, I literally lost my own identity. Being young and growing up, you really don't know who you are anyway. But
Right.
if I wasn't given that foundation of I'm wonderfully made, in the image of God. Like, I could have very well lost myself to some of these false identities, to
Mhm.
identity of being desirable. So it came from that rootedness. Like I said, I've had a mask on. Okay, people see
Right.
when I show up. You say Nick Cannon brother show up. It's like you don't expect 6'3" black dude with dreads. Like you know
Big
what I mean?
dreads
So
that got me. I was like, now he is tall, you know?
right. So it's like, and so imagine me showing up. I see those play like, huh? Like, that's Nick Cannon. Like I see that. So I began
Right,
to put on, okay, well, if I don't look like I'm gonna show people I can act like I'm gonna show people I'm funny and just trying
right.
to associate with Big Bro. There's already because it's my big brother,
That's your
admiration that comes along with it. So it really was an identity crisis. You know what I mean? To try to figure out what am I supposed to be in Hollywood? Who am I? Am I a rapper? Am I an actor? Am I good enough? I started confirming myself through, sexual activities with women. Like, yeah, I'm from North
right.
Carolina, girl. You let me do that, girl? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yes.
I started confirming my identity through, false images, and really just indulge. I was able to take, my basketball team in high school. I'm 17 years old. I'm able to take you from my high school basketball practice to a VIP 21 older club with a bottle on the table just because I'm
Right.
the Cannon brother. Like, you know what I mean? And what that'll do to having that much access, what that'll do to the ego, what that'll do to the mentality, what that'll do to the identity. Um,
Right.
but always having that, I see like a lot of times these kids, what we did have, what our parents did give us, what the older generations did give us was filters. I did have a God filter. Everything that I did, to
Mm.
be honest, like, I pop a pill and pills, but I would pray over it. Lord God, don't only let this do what it's for,
Lord
don't let
have
it kill me.
mercy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. I feel you.
literally like kept God with me through the
Everything.
hell, through the like, yeah, and was completely wrong, but I can
Yeah.
stand here and testify and say he kept me. I'm here, like
Come on. Come on.
and it was that though I went to the edge and looked over and also put a leg over and dangled it. I
Yeah.
always knew that, like, man, I gotta go back home. Like,
Mm.
I always knew that, yo, I gotta give this up. Like, I'm only doing this for, so like, I gotta go back home to the, and because somebody gave me the understanding of truth that God was real, that, yo, there's also a life, the world will tell you, YOLO, you only live once, but
Mm.
somebody told me about eternal life, you know what I
Come
mean?
on.
And knowing that was like, yo, I can't give eternal life for this life, and that's really what kept me.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. The Bible tells us to train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is
Right.
old, he won't depart. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to experience some of your own things in life. It means, like you said, you have a God filter. And so
Right.
you're not going to find comfort or someone, because you know now, but whoever's watching out there, you're not going to find comfort in anything else when there's a God filter and prayers that have been placed over your life.
Right.
There's a song that says, somebody prayed for me, had
Right.
me on their mind, took the time to pray for me,
Right.
and so I'm sure that the prayers of your father and the prayers of your loved ones kept you and your brothers while you were out there, in this new world, because it was a
Absolutely.
brand new experience. Like you said, North Carolina, the South, all the way to the West Coast. What?
Sheesh. From
That's
being
a
black and
difference.
from black and ashy to black and shiny, boy,
Come on, come on.
that's a difference now. A little
You
oil
are
go a long way.
hilarious. I'm gonna go back to this comment that says black is beautiful. Black
Amen.
is beautiful indeed. Indeed. You know, let's see, you were also, like you said, signed to Def Jam. So you were a part of the R&B group, Writers and Artists. Is that how you pronounce
Yes,
it?
ma'am. Writers and
Okay.
artists. It's like a double entendre. Nick made it up, but it stands for writers and artists because we were writers. We wrote our own music and was also artists.
Oh,
But I was the
writers.
rapper in the group, so we said riders because we riders,
Okay.
and
I'm like, because I thought y'all was riding, like
you know
riders
what
and
I'm saying? We did
okay.
a little.
I got you. I got you. So you all released the song Sorry Apology, right? So tell
Yes,
me
man.
what your musical journey was like as a part of that group and how music kind of differed in the South versus the West Coast? Not beefing wise, but I
Mhm.
mean, unless you beefing, but not beefing wise, but just tell me the differences, in the music culture once you got to the West Coast.
Right. Like you said, we started off just with dreams. We didn't have no idea of the reality of it. We dreams of being on TV, dreams of being like the Jacksons and these other people that we would see coming up. We got here, we got signed, and it was a reality check. A learning curve you can't pay for. Being signed to a major label to get the behind the scenes of the music industry of how it works. It might be a guinea pig,
Right, right.
but
Okay.
there is a learning curve that come with it. Being signed to Def Jam, we had a protection, we had a cushion because we was incredible Def Jam artists. Nick's label, incredible, that's doing everything. We kept help kind of lay that foundation, baby. With
Yes.
that group, signed to Def Jam. It was an R&B group. I was the rapper in the group. We got to do some amazing things. We toured with Mariah the whole 2010 on her Angels Advocate tour. Mariah Carey don't usually have no opening act
Right.
unless it's nobody singing with her unless Boys the Man or something.
Okay.
And we was her opening act. I tell the story where
Wow.
it's 2009, about to be 20. No, what is it? Yeah, 2010. The ball's about to drop. Madison Square Garden, New Year's Eve. I mean, people's dream is to perform at Madison Square Garden. We opened it up for Trey Songz and Mariah Carey. You know what I mean? And so imagine being backstage. We're the opening act. Mariah, she's gonna be a little late. She's gonna be a little late for
Yeah,
show.
yeah. Little bit, little bit.
So you make the audience wait a little bit. So the audience is impatient. It's New Year's Eve. Everybody is already turned up. New York. Um, the house lights go down.
Mm.
We look and the wall begins to move. The walls are moving because the voices, when these lights, house lights finally go down, there's so many people, the voices are so loud. You're like, is the wall
Shake.
moving? Like, yeah, because you see the
Wow.
rumble, the roar of these voices.
Mm.
Unforgettable experience. And the first voice they're gonna hear, all these people, is me. Y'all make some noise, New York, and we
Come
come and do
on.
our thing. So it was a experience that you dream of. I mean, you're opening act for Mariah Carey. You get to rock these crowds. Like, these people don't even know you and they gonna scream. Like, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
so it was definitely a surreal, unforgettable. Even I go back and look at footage, like, yo, we did that.
Yes.
Experience. We did a song called Cakes with Fabulous.
Uh-huh.
I was able to rap with some of my favorite rappers. You know what I mean? I'm on the same song with them. I promise you I ate Fab up. I promise you my
Okay.
verse killed
Okay.
his.
You said
You
eat.
feel me? That's creators, but I was tapped in with the creator. We was
Come
making a
on.
song called Cakes, though. Let me not even put Jesus in the song called Cakes. It was
You
called
put
Cakes.
Jesus in everything. Okay. It's all
Yeah,
right.
we're gonna
It's
put
all
him in
right.
there. Yeah, he did give me the gift. So,
What's with
but
you?
the song was called Cakes. Now you know what we was talking about, but that's when we were
Uh-huh.
serving the other kingdom. Uh, but just to have those experiences, to shoot those music videos, to be on set with true legends and professionals. With
Yes.
Mariah being on tour with her, to watch her band rehearse.
Mm.
She ain't doing too much rehearsing either. That's Mariah Carey. But
Okay.
to watch her band rehearse, to watch her background rehearse, to watch her lighting rehearse, like, you learn so much by just watching, just what I mean, people,
Wow.
keeping the schedule. So it was an unforgettable experience. Definitely took my gift, my talent, my knowledge of the music industry to a whole nother level. So I wouldn't
Mm.
trade it for anything. It definitely was a once in a lifetime thing. But I will say, because I do look back at that, I was signed to Def Jam. I was on
Yeah.
tour with Mariah Carey, and it's like, so a lot of those things come once in a lifetime in a person's life. Like, it come, and
Right.
even for after that, for me to go on and win claim, like, it's just, God's hand on my life and just throwing these things out. But a lot of people like, how do you feel that didn't work out, or that you guys, because we did 106 in Park. I mean, everything
Wow.
that we did, all of
Okay.
these things, and it's like,
So many
yo,
experiences,
you
Gabriel.
guys got Mariah Carey, Nick Cannon. Why didn't that go? And in hindsight, it's like, you know what? Because of who I was, I was so unexperienced to this industry, to this world, so willing to accept any identity. Honestly, like,
Mhm.
you probably, if that did work out, if that group writers and artists did reach the heights that we wanted to, if that album did come out, because the single 106 in Park was on the countdown and it was moving,
Wow.
and it just kind of stopped. But looking back, like, if that did happen, you probably would have heard that Gabriel Cannon has OD'd in a hotel room, or, like, what I mean, the story that you would have heard of who Gabriel Cannon was or is, or would have been totally different if God green lighted that. Like, you know what I mean, to success. So,
Yeah.
everything in its timing, and everything for a reason. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, definitely taught
Yeah.
patience.
You got to experience so many things in the industry, and I can totally understand where you're coming from. God has allowed me to meet a lot of people, but I always wanted to work with certain people, and it didn't come to fruition. You got to touch the tip of it. I haven't even gotten to the place, where I thought I would be, but I now at this age understand why. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right,
looking at it, especially being younger, you say, well, God, this is what I want. There were times, Gabriel, where I would cry because I would watch people on TV doing things and I'm like, I should be doing that. You know what I'm saying? And it
right,
was just like, God, when is my time? When is my
right,
season? But then he gives me a platform such as this to say, I will open doors that no man can open and close doors that no
right,
man, can close. That's just the
right.
type of God that he serves. And so even in you touring with Mariah Carey, I was working at a school a few years back, and one of the students at the school, I was working at the front desk, but they all would come and talk to me. All the students, they would
Right,
come,
right.
and this was a college. And so one of the students came and she said, hey, do you want to go see Mariah Carey? And I said, huh? And I'm like, yeah, And she said, okay, I'm gonna take you with me to see Mariah Carey. My
Right.
son is her musical director. So
Really?
not only did I get to go to the concert, and I'm
Wow.
sitting next to one of the Jacksons and I got pictures with
Wow.
him, but
Right.
afterwards, they take me to the back and I see one of the, top artists that's leaning against the wall waiting for her to come out. And then, got to take a picture with her. And I told her I'm a big girl, but I told her I want that dress. I said, if I ever lose the weight, Mariah, I'm coming for that cute dress you
We
got
need
on,
that dress. Right.
I'm coming for it. But I thank God for things like that because that's the type of God that we serve. He will
Right.
give you the icing on top of things,
Right.
experiences that we never thought that we would have. But when he puts the gift on the inside of us, it's going to be able to go, especially when we honor him in all that
Right.
we do, no
Right.
matter how far you went. Gabriel, in listening to your story tonight, you never forgot about God. You just
Amen.
a church boy at heart. You a Jesus boy
Amen.
at heart. You know what
Hey,
I'm saying?
and,
And
and
so
my
it's
church
like,
socks dancing in the kitchen.
okay, exactly. And so it's like, who wouldn't serve a God like that, that would give you the opportunity to touch some of the highest heights? Like you said, 106 in Park. I'm like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
you was doing it. But God
Right.
said, I also have some lives that I need you to touch in another place as well. And so I mean, he creates a claim to fame. I'm not
Right.
done with you yet. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you
Right.
getting ready to do this show about your brothers. I'm not
Right.
done with you yet.
Right.
There is still work for you to do for the Lord. I'm gonna go
Absolutely.
back for a moment. I'm just like, I'm hyped tonight. I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
telling you, I'm hyped.
Oh
This
yeah.
good. This is good to
Oh
me.
yeah.
Okay. I haven't asked half of the questions, and we 48 minutes in. We got a little more time. Little more time. I'm gonna jump into the comments. Nancy said, "Gabriel, how do you like the post Amy does for the family? She is so talented and enjoys doing it."
Absolutely talented. Absolutely love it. There's a lot of people who don't even really, who don't dig enough, to know Nick's been famous for what, over 20 years. And it's like people just
Mhm.
finding out he got brothers. Ta-da! Like, you know
Right
what
here,
I
I
mean?
am. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's like for people who see the family, who see, who knows my dad, who knows the story of this family, like, and when willing to say, hey, to point a finger to it, to shed a light on it, it's like, it's
Right.
appreciated for sure, especially for people who got comfortable in them shadows, baby. you know, um,
Okay.
it's definitely a blessing, because we're a very supportive family. It's like, if God called Nick to it, hey, we support Nick till the wheels fall off. And but we sharpening, baby. If you ever call me, Lord, I'm here. Like,
I'm ready.
and
Right.
that's been the spirit. So yeah, man, all the work they do, that whole family, the support, the love, like we definitely appreciate it. It's definitely felt it's inspiration because a lot of people don't go like even being on this platform right now, that intro you gave me is just like
Mhm.
it's just a reminder of the calling, like yo, and just the reminder of the walk. Sometimes you need to be reminded of the journey and the places he brought you from, and the things he brought you through, and the things he brought you to, and it's like to be reminded, you know what I mean, of your
Yes.
call, and like, nah, you know what I mean, for people to yo, nah, you different, to that's
Yes.
appreciated. That is the inspiration. That is when you by yourself and the naysayers are talking. That is the fuel that keeps you pushing for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many things that I want to do. We got a few minutes left. Um, okay, so you talked about your time in Hollywood and some of the things that you touched, even from the pills to the women and different things. So I read an article about you. You too.
Sorry.
Okay. So I
Sorry.
read an article that talked about you crying out for God. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning. Do you know what
Right.
story I'm talking about?
I think I know which one you have been doing some digging now.
I've been digging. I've
I
been
think
digging. Wait.
it's a story where I was fed up with that identity crisis. I knew I was living under a mask. Like, you know what I mean? I knew I was tap dancing for the people. The things I was creating, it didn't coincide with the spirit that was inside of me. You know what I mean? Being a creator, I knew I wasn't creating things that was eternal, was everlasting message that witnesses before heaven and the angels and God would apply. Like,
Yeah.
it was the mentality was about a bag. It was about getting to the money. It was, we adopted a motto of fake it till you make it. One of the main literatures in Hollywood is that 48 laws of power. And some of those laws are so real, getting to the executing and finding power and moving people, but at the end of the day it's evil. I'm sorry, like,
Uh-huh.
and seeing those things, been given the truth, and now been given this world, like, you know what I mean, and it's like, these things are water and oil, you know what I'm saying, these
They
things
didn't
don't
mix.
mix, like, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to produce them in the same body that led me, I would do things and people would tell me like, bro, like, you shouldn't do this no more, like, it don't agree with you, and it's like, what you mean, like, bro, when you was asleep, like you was calling out to God, bro. Like, and I don't
Mm.
remember these things, but I'm under the influence. But it's like,
Okay.
but my soul would cry out, whatnot. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Literally. And I think there's a time where I was, I was just in the front yard, like just bawling, like, God, like, yo, show me what happened, because I've given my best, like.
Yeah.
I've been rejected. I've been set aside. The people I thought was for me are not for me. And I was
Right.
in this world. I was surrounded by people, but completely alone. You know,
Mm.
and so I was crying out to God in this spot. I think if you go back to the spot, it's the only place the grass grow in this yard. But it's like,
Wow.
felt a true sense of peace. And then I started seeking what does surrender mean? I just,
Mhm.
what does surrender mean? I didn't understand what you mean surrender. Like, and I called one of my brothers, Caleb, who kind of already left Hollywood and went to Bible college. And it was like,
Okay.
man, I don't know how to surrender. What is surrender? Like, what you mean? I'm not giving what? Like, and he was just like, man, that's exactly where you need to be. Like, it
Wow.
kind of threw me off. Like, what you mean? I'm confused, man. I'm
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
Like, what you talking about? That's where I need to be. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, seeking for what surrender is, trying to understand that. And, I started understanding other concepts, because I put on this armor of what a black man could be. You gotta say, be able to say a cuss word, mother effer real good, and you gotta know how to fight. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Gotta have a bunch of women. This is what the world tell you you're supposed to be as a man or black man, or your identity, or you know. But then I started coming. I thought Tupac, even with all his revolutionary, mentality, we love him like because he was able to buck against the machine. The boy was creative. The boy, we see
Right.
his flaws that kind of but we salute. But then I also started comparing that to the character of King David. Like, you know what I mean? And I started
Mhm.
seeing these other examples of what men was and
Right.
humility. I started understanding the power in humility and being humble and how Jesus was a humble. Then I started learning concepts like a servant's heart, like
Come on.
and when these new concepts started, I do music. I'm a creator. I love concepts and words, but starting to see a new character of a man, the character of Christ, it just was like he said that he could have killed him and he did that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
questioning these concepts and these codes, these ethics, the code of these streets that we don't want to be. And it's like,
Yeah.
hold on, you see concepts more worthy of your life. And it's like, hey, I'd rather give my life to this than anything else,
And now
Completely
you're
forgot the
sold
question,
out.
but
Okay. I'm like, and now you're sold out, sold out.
man,
A couple
man.
of more questions, Gabriel. I thank you again so much for your time tonight.
Mhm.
One way that you have chosen to give back is, like you said, working with the young people, the youth, through the Young Visionaries organization. And also, you were working through the Stop Hating campaign, which was
Right.
against bullying, violence, gang culture, and so much more. So, in those systems, you are still
Mhm.
pouring out your gifts by, doing improv with them, teaching
Right.
them acting, being a mentor, and so much more. Can you tell me one of your most memorable experiences working with young people?
One of the most recent ones, I just laughed because it just popped in my mind. One of the most recent when we're in the juvenile hall in Los Angeles County. Los Angeles, I mean, it's LA. Like, so if you're a young person and you doing up to no good, it's a lot of them. You coming through the system. I mean, from the real serious offenses, like I said, murder to, the runaways, like they're in here for sure. One of
Yeah.
these kids, one of these kids, he hasn't spoke, right? He
Wow.
hasn't spoke since he's been in this juvenile hall system, right? And so we're
Okay.
coming in there and we're teaching acting and improv. I'm using these acting and improv, same things you guys see him do on the show Wild and Out, things like that. Just
Yes.
I'm learning. I've been shooting behind the scenes of Wild and Out since season one. So all the improv games, I got them in the clip ready, like
Right. Okay.
But
Ready to
yeah,
go.
I've turned these things into curriculum because I strongly believe like if you
Mhm.
teach a young person how to build a character, if you teach anybody how this character ticks, the reason why this character moves and character development, you got to
Right.
understand what makes this person move, their motivations. At the same time, when I'm teaching these kids these tools, subconsciously, they're learning their own character. They're building their own character, they're understanding why they move and why they have these triggers that they have. So, like I said, it's putting the
Good.
medicine in with the candy almost. So they're having fun, but they're growing and learning and reflecting using their own, palette themselves.
Right. Right.
So we're using these improv games. So we in the juvenile hall, all these kids. I mean, we got so many warriors that's locked up that if we could
Mhm.
see, I mean, it's a whole nother topic of the manpower that we have behind bars. I mean, all these brothers is in shape. They like 17 through
Right.
25. Like, I mean, but they look like warriors. Like, and
Mm.
we don't even have access to that power. But so I'm going in here, and these guys, and of course, they gangbangers, committed murders, different sets. We're playing improv games. So there's one kid, they say he hasn't spoke since he been in there. I mean, it's obvious this dude has done the worst for
Right.
sure.
Right.
He We're playing these improv games. This improv game called Who's in My Cab. So say you're the driver of the cab,
Okay.
an actor would get in there pretending there's somebody famous, right? So this
Okay.
guy, for some reason, I don't know why, I gave him Scooby Doo, right?
In the
the dude hasn't spoke since he's been in the
right.
juvenile hall. And he's kind of
Okay.
sitting off. You know how the gangsters stand off. He's watching
Yeah.
us the whole time. I say Scooby Doo, he raised his hand. The whole facility gets quiet, like, oh
What?
snap! He's gonna like, what's about to happen next? This
Right.
dude comes, and so the person's driving. He's getting in. I tell him, you got to be Scooby Doo. He like, all right. He don't really talk, but he nods to me.
Right. Right.
He comes, and the dude says, Raxy. I'm sorry, I'm sorry if I had that money to you, but the dude don't speak. And he said, Raxy. I mean, the whole facility just broke.
Oh,
I mean, it was
Jesse.
it was such a breakthrough that, I mean, everybody was
Wow.
able to put their guard down because he's the guy you watch. But he
Yes.
just said Raxy. So we
Raxy.
ain't got no
Right.
problems
Right.
that he's in this movie.
Oh my
Oh, I mean,
goodness.
it was such an I felt the relief drop in the facility. Like, it was such a
Amazing.
breakthrough. This dude jumped in and started. I mean, and they came. I mean, we was leaving the facility. Some of the officers came and kind of chased us down. Like, hey, let me just tell you guys. And they were the ones telling us this kid's history. Like, he didn't spoke. We didn't speak. We didn't know how to get to him. And y'all came in here being humans, like, you know what I mean, playing games, and you know what I mean. The boy opened up, still a kid inside of him. So
Come
yeah,
on.
that was the most recent.
That is awesome. 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 Gabriel, you're doing big things out there, and it's wonderful. You are a wonderful human. I thank God for you, for your heart,
Man,
for your character, for developing in you as a child, who he wanted you to be, and
man,
you are still
man,
that person as a man. So keep doing great things. There's one
thank
last
you.
thing that I want to do. I want to jump to the comments just briefly, and then I like a rapid fire round. So I'm just going to ask you like a couple of questions. It's just
Let's
rapid
go.
fire, okay?
I'm
All
ready.
right. Yes, indeed. Before we do that, Amy is watching. She said, oh, thank you so much, Gabriel, for answering mom's questions. The love is felt and right back at you. And thank you, Kimberly, for bringing us together tonight. Incredible. And
Thank
no,
you.
I didn't get the incredible. Oh,
You got the
Kimberly,
N.
thank you,
You see,
Amy.
a lot of people don't know they spell it. He spell it like that. You see the NC, it means Nick Cannon. That's why he spell it like
Okay. Yes, yes, indeed. Look, she spelled it like that for me. I said, okay, incredible interview. Thank you.
that. That's
Yes,
funny.
indeed. And Nancy said, thank you for answering my question. It meant a lot. Take care, praying for you. Absolutely.
Thank
I
you,
have
guys.
Dexter that's watching as well. Thank you for watching, Dexter. He's in Detroit. And Nancy said, Kimberly, thank you for your time. I'm 71 and I love seeing the next generation speaking and believing in God. Good night.
Amen.
As Nick would say, love ya. See ya. Thank you so much, Nancy. Blessings to you and to Amy. Thank you all so much for watching tonight. All right, Gabriel, are you ready for
I'm
rapid
ready.
fire?
Let's
Okay,
get
okay,
it.
okay. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Dead President. Lorenz Tate has been one of my favorite actors since a kid.
I love Lorenz. We probably love him for different reasons, but I love Lorenz too. Okay.
Well, why you love him?
Okay.
Not
For
because
his
he can
acting.
act.
For his acting. Yes, indeed. Your favorite color.
My favorite color, it used to be orange because I was an art teacher who I had an orange shirt on. And like I said, I had that little dark skin issue. And I was an art
Uh-huh.
teacher who was like, your skin just looks so well with that bright color. And she made
Oh,
me
I
look at
bet.
myself different. I was wearing fuchsia, all kinds of colors after that.
Okay. So orange. What's your
Mhm.
favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert, banana pudding. I would say
Mm,
banana pudding.
banana pudding. Look at Amy. She said, yes, I've always loved some Lorenz Tate too,
Look at
Kimberly.
y'all. Look at
You hear
y'all.
me, Amy? Yes, indeed.
Look at y'all.
Yes. So banana pudding is delicious. So that's a good one. What's one of your favorite lines in a song? This may take a moment to think about. Favorite
Oh,
line in a song.
nah, I know. There's a what's that song? The We were not created to worry. You know that song?
Oh, yes,
We
yes.
were not created
Created
to
to fear.
fear. He
That's
says,
right.
we were created to worship daily.
Daily.
That part right there, when it just hit me one day, like I was singing out, but it said we were created to worship daily. Like, yo,
Daily.
yesterday worship don't mean nothing.
Come on.
Like you gotta give him that. They like give it up the same way you bow before him. We were created to
Mm,
worship daily. Our lives are worship. Our words are worship. How we treat our neighbors is worship. Like your daily worship, your daily offering, your daily sacrifice unto
come
God should
on.
be yourself
Yes, yes.
daily. So that
That's
lines
good.
in the song we created to worship daily. That daily just hit me upside the head. Boy, I think go to church this
Absolutely.
Sunday. That Sunday don't mean nothing. It's Wednesday. It's Thursday,
Okay.
baby.
That's right. Worship daily. Every day he's due. Let me see. Okay. I gotta ask this one. What did you do when you first heard your voice on the radio or TV? How did you feel? What was that experience like?
Probably remember that song North Carolina, come on, twist it around your head, spinning like a helicopter. And since that came out, I'm from North Carolina. That been my move. I take a shirt, spin it around my head, baby. When I heard it, I'll probably say, hallelujah, I'm doing a helicopter. That's probably
Yes,
exactly what I did.
that's what's up. I love it. Look, and I'm spinning it with you. Okay. And lastly, let's see. Tonight's interview. I need you to rate it. You got to rate tonight's interview.
Off the Richter scale, if it's 1 out of 10, we got a 100. The energy is everlasting. I'm about to
Oh,
put a beat on and write a song from this inspiration, baby. It's going down.
oh, yeah.
It's
Let's
going down.
go. Look, I
Oh
was
yeah.
gonna ask you happy face or sad, but you didn't give me 100, so I'm
Oh
on
no.
100
We
now.
going
Okay,
up.
on 1,000.
We
Okay,
going up. They feel this
yes,
energy. Y'all better take some of this energy and be creative. The night is
yes,
still young. Make sure you give it up to God. But use
that's
something, create
right.
something, put something in your diary. Be creative and be inspired.
Come on, good stuff. That's what I was going to ask you for an inspirational word to the people, but you just gave them one. He
Hey
said,
now.
the night is still young. That's so true. There are so many things. Once we give God praise, I prayed today and tonight for today and tonight. You know, I thank God for you, Gabriel, just for the man that you are, for your energy, for the
Man.
positiveness that you bring to this, that you have brought to the platform tonight, but not only to my platform, to those who watch you all the time. As I said on Claim to Fame, you were one of those that I was like, he got to win. You know what I'm saying? I was locked in with you,
Amen.
you know? And
Amen.
so
I appreciate
I
it.
am grateful. This is such a blessing and like a dream come true for you to come off of my screen there, you know, watching my television, to be on my screen talking to me. So
We
thank you
did.
for your time tonight. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you for
Yes.
having me. It was a pleasure. You inspired me. Keep it
Oh,
going. I'm gonna
thank
be
you.
tuning in, so you better keep it up. We
Okay,
outside, talented Thursdays. Man,
let's
I
go.
appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. I would like to leave because you are a rapper. You're a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
You do
Mm-hmm.
hip hop, you do
Mm-hmm.
music. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I love Gabriel's personality. That's my mom. Mom, isn't he amazing? He's amazing. Yes.
Thank you
Nancy
so much.
said, let me just jump here. Hope to hear you again, Kimberly. Please follow, subscribe, stay tuned. And where can they follow you as well for those that are watching? Let them know.
Gabriel Cannon Music on Instagram. I think TikTok is Gabriel Cannon. Someone you'll see me, you'll see the dreads. Gabriel
Uh-huh.
Cannon. It'll pop right up. But Instagram for sure, Gabriel Cannon Music.
That's right. Y'all see 6'3" with the locks and the
Hey
chocolate
now.
skin.
Hey
Y'all know that
now.
it's him. You know that
Hey
it's
now.
him. Yes. So
Baby,
I
take
want
some
to,
selfies.
that's right. That's right. Shine bright like a diamond, you
Hey
know?
man.
I want to leave just playing a little bit of your song. Um, Wait a minute, because I have the name of the song. Tell me your
Oh, look, I got
rapper.
something for you. Look, I said Satan showed his face to me.
Ooh,
Lord, you wait patiently. If I dance with your foe, what would you think of me? Guess we'll wait and see, loving me or hating me. It's 30 some years, still ain't found the reason for making me. Most times I'm hating me, ended. Open your gates for me, injured. Lord, come and play for me. How much will you let him take from me? And I can't see, Lord, I need some urgency. State of emergency. The devil said he wanted me. Had a description and said that I fitted perfectly. He tried to drag me down where the serpents be. And it hurts to say, would I be worth to save? If not, why I keep seeing birthdays? One of the worst days you brought me in this world, Lord. But behold your son, me, in this world of warlords. In a time of warlords, you swore that you adored us. You sent your son to talk to these men and he got murdered. I know he had a purpose, but Lord, was it worth it? Fathers, wives, and daughters still scorched up and tortured. We battling the same demons my people fought before us. A long list of problems, too many battles to run from. Every
Come
time we
on.
move on a cause, then a gun come. Tupac, Martin, and Malcolm. Is death the outcome of liberating the slums and trying hard to climb out of? Though everybody doubted you reached the peak of the mountain, victory, you screaming loudly. But that's how they found him. Now can I
Mm.
see your face for every time I screamed your name in vain? You let it rain and I withstood all the pain. So I prayed with blind faith, you keep the demons away. And I pray they trying to take me under, make me break and crumble. Though I was with one for 9 months, God didn't make a woman. Satan's tugging, but God's calling. Satan's feet in my flesh, it seemed like God's stalling. But Lord, forgive my sins and all the mean I do. Cause for me, no one's ever been beat like you. This is a tug of war, a bloody war. One side's the devil, the other side's the Lord. Choose wisely. Mm.
Ooh, no, you didn't come on here with fire on my page.
Hey
What?
now.
I'm going back to the top. When you came in, you said, hey,
You
right
silly.
there, Gabriel.
You silly.
Yes, you got a dope flow. I
Thank you.
appreciate you for real,
Thank
for
you.
real. Yes, indeed. I have Chatrice tapping in. She's in Tacoma, Washington. She said, be ready so you don't have to get ready.
Hey now.
Yeah.
She like that. With that sugar free. I'm just
Okay, okay. She
he
said,
been
no need
redeemed
for the
too.
beat freestyle. That's right. No need for the beat. Gabriel said, you ain't got to
Appreciate
say
you.
nothing. I'm about to do this right here. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you for tapping in.
Thank
For
you.
those of
Thank
you
you.
who absolutely. For those of you who are interested in being a guest on Talented Thursdays, make sure that you email me, please. TalentedThursdays at gmail.com. Gabriel, God bless you. God
Blessings,
bless you.
blessings, bless you.
Such a
Thank you so
powerful
much.
name for a powerful man. Keep being great.
Thank you so
Salute.
much. You too.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you all. We'll see you next Thursday. All right. Bye.